Let's make a herringbone weave ring today using 3 beads. And these are 2 of my favorite rings, and people comment on them whenever I wear them. I've had people kind of grab my hand and say, "Where did you get that ring?" So let's create this style ring. Now here's what I use to make it, and I'll link the supplies in the description below. But the main pliers are a 6x4 mm Czech glass faceted rondel and 2 round silver beads and 20 and 26 gauge silver coated craft wire. Now I'm going for a size 7 ring here, so I cut about 12 inches of the 20 gauge wire as the anchor wire and about 14 inches of the 26 gauge wire for the weaving wire. So we're going to wrap the end of the weaving wire around the anchor wire a couple of times and then snug those wraps up tight next to each other. Just like that. And then snip off any excess weaving wire. And try to keep the weaving wire in the center of the anchor wire. It'll probably move around a little bit, but that's okay. And place all 3 of your beads on the anchor wire and snug them right up next to that weaving wire. And I find it helps to kind of use my thumb to hold the bead assembly together while I'm bringing that weaving wire up alongside the beads. Just like that. Okay, then wrap that weaving wire one complete time around the anchor wire and snug it up next to the bead. Now you're going to rotate that whole assembly and do the same thing. Bring that weaving wire up alongside the beads. Wrap it around the anchor wire once and snug it up. Okay, then rotate the assembly and keep weaving, and with each subsequent wrap, keep that weaving wire underneath or next to the previous wire. Don't let those wires cross on the sides, in other words. Keep them parallel to the previous wrap. Just like that. And take your time, and you can make minute adjustments as you go, keeping the wraps next to each other. Kind of keeping everything symmetrical. I didn't count my wraps. I don't know how many times I went around, but just go until it looks the way you want it to look. And then when you're finished with the weaving wire, wrap it around a couple of times and then snip it off on the underside of the anchor wire. And you can gently squeeze it into place, making sure that it doesn't leave a sharp tip. And if it does leave a little tip, you can file it smooth. Now smooth out the anchor wire with your nylon jaw pliers if you need to. And slide that bead assembly to the center of the anchor wire. Now since I want a size 7, I'm going to place the center of the ring on about the size 7 1/4 on the mandrel. Press that centerpiece onto the mandrel and gently form it. But be careful when you do this or you'll risk undoing all your nice weaving work. And hold the centerpiece of the ring. And then one at a time, bring those anchor wires all the way around and back up to the top. Keep the anchor wires parallel to each other on the bottom. And try not to let them get crossed. And once you've got those weaving wires at the top of the assembly, then one at a time, bring each one around and underneath the weaving wires. And this does two things. It hides them under the center of the assembly, and it gives the ring structure and strength. Just like that. Now bend each anchor wire at a gentle 45-degree angle right next to the last weaving wire on each side so that we can begin to lock in the shape. Now you can remove the ring from the mandrel and holding the assembly firmly, kind of guide and tuck one end of that wire around the shank. Kind of push it through there. Once you get it through there, you can use your pliers to gently pull it on through. And one little tip, when you start wrapping that wire around there, you may find that it's easier to push the wire to get it started rather than pulling it to get it started. And do the same thing to the other side of the shank. Just take your time and make nice tight wraps here. At this point, it may look a little out of shape, so you can put it back on the mandrel and gently reshape it. Now this time you can use your plastic or rubber mallet and kind of hammer that shank into shape. But don't hammer your herringbone wrap. We're really just shaping the shank. Shank shaping. Now remove the ring from the mandrel, and we're going to make 2 more wraps on each side of the shank. I feel like I need music here for when I'm not speaking, but I tried that once and y'all said, don't do that again. So I don't know what I did, but apparently the music didn't work, so sorry, you're stuck with just my voice and boring silence. All right, now make one more half wrap and then snip off the excess wire on the underneath side. And if there's a sharp tip, either tuck it in there or file it smooth, whatever you need to do so that it has a smooth fit and doesn't poke your skin. Now if your shank wires aren't sitting flat next to each other, that's okay. We're going to fix that. It's looking good. Now for our final shaping, I'm going to put the ring back on the mandrel and then either use your mallet to position the ring on the size 7 or whatever size it is that you're going for. And I find that it helps to hold the ring and turn the mandrel to really set the shape. And then gently hammer it into shape. And there is our pretty herringbone wrapped 3-bead ring. I'm going to run this ring through the tumbler, which will give it some added strength, and it will remove any tool marks that may have happened if I got a little aggressive with holding the wire with my pliers. I hope I've made this easy enough for you to follow, and I hope that you'll have fun designing and making your own 3-bead herringbone weave ring. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I'll see you again soon.